Hey there, restless night owls, ready to escape the day's chaos with a whispered dive into history's shadows. Picture this: a medieval mind unraveling under superstition's weight, or a samurai's blade sharper than his lord's temper. Tonight, we wander through feudal Japan's ruthless elegance, sail with a queen who outwitted empires, and unravel what mental health meant when demons were blamed for despair. So dim the lights, flick on a fan for that soothing hum, and let the past lull you to sleep. If this sparks your curiosity, give a like, subscribe, and drop a comment. Where are you tuning in from, and what's the clock saying? From Japan's muddy fields to medieval asylums, this journey blends grim truths with dark wit, promising you'll chuckle, cringe, and maybe even dream of surviving history's madness. Let's begin. As the world fades into the soft hum of your fan, imagine waking not to an alarm, but to a destiny carved in stone centuries before your first breath. In feudal Japan, freedom is a fairy tale, and your life is no blank canvas. Instead, it's a scroll, inked by ancestors long buried, dictating every step you'll take. Born a samurai? Your days will gleam with polished blades and suffocate under the weight of honor. A peasant? Prepare for a lifetime wading through mud, your dreams as distant as the stars you'll never study. This isn't a society that rewards ambition. It's a machine that demands obedience, grinding down anyone who dares to stray. You don't choose your role, you're born into it, and the moment you open your eyes, the script is already written. Welcome to a world where your fate isn't yours to shape. Picture yourself stirring at dawn, the air sharp with frost, your straw mat offering little comfort against the wooden floor. If you're a samurai, your hands instinctively reach for the twin swords at your side, symbols of a life tethered to duty. Your family's name is a chain, binding you to a lord whose whims could end you faster than any blade. But if you're a peasant, your morning begins with the ache of yesterday's labor, your fingers already caked with the earth you'll till until dusk. There's no coffee to jolt you awake, no scrolling through a phone to delay the day. Instead, you face a truth as cold as the water you'll splash on your face. Your place in this world was decided before you could speak. The elegance of cherry blossoms might grace the hills, but for you, beauty is a luxury, overshadowed by survival's relentless demands. This rigid hierarchy isn't just a quirk of feudal Japan, it's the spine of its society. Samurai sit at the top, their lives a paradox of privilege and peril. They wield power, yes, but every step is a performance, every gesture scrutinized. One misspoken word, one faltering bow, and disgrace could swallow their family's legacy. Below them, artisans craft beauty they'll never afford, while merchants, despite their wealth, are scorned as parasites in a culture that worships honor over coin. And then there's you, perhaps a peasant, the backbone of this world, yet invisible to those above. Your labor feeds the nation, but your name will never grace a scroll. The system isn't unfair by accident. It's designed to keep you exactly where you are, a cog in a machine that's been spinning for centuries. Now let's pause for a moment to consider the sheer audacity of this setup. In our world, we chase dreams, switch careers, and reinvent ourselves with a few clicks. But in feudal Japan, the idea of following your passion would sound like madness. Try telling a daimyo you're quitting to start a pottery business, and you'll find yourself exiled, or worse, your head on a pike. The society's rules are etched not just in law, but in the very air you breathe. Your role is your identity, your prison, and your purpose all rolled into one. To rebel is to invite chaos, not just for you, but for your entire clan. And yet, isn't there something darkly poetic about this? A world so ordered, so precise, that even your thoughts must bow to tradition. The point of shock in this world isn't a single moment, but a creeping realization. Your life isn't yours. Imagine being told, as a child, that your every choice, whom you'll marry, what you'll wear, how you'll die, was already decided. For a samurai, this means a childhood spent mastering the katana, not for glory, but for survival. One day, you might face a duel, not because you chose it, but because your lord's honor demands it. For a peasant, it's the knowledge that no amount of toil will lift you from the fields. Your children will inherit your calluses, your debts, and the same patch of earth. This isn't just a lack of opportunity, it's a deliberate cage built to ensure the system endures. And the kicker? Everyone around you accepts it, as if the stars themselves decreed it. Let's paint this cage in vivid colors. If you're a samurai, your home is a modest wooden structure, its sliding doors whispering secrets of your lineage. You rise to kneel before a shrine, praying your ancestors approve of your every move. Your armor, heavy with history, waits in the corner, a reminder that peace is fleeting. But as a peasant, your world is a cramped hut, the roof leaking when it rains. Your meals are meager, rice, perhaps some withered greens, flavored by hunger more than spice. The village headman's voice haunts your days, his ledger tracking every grain you owe. Both lives, samurai and peasant, share one truth. You're watched, not by cameras, but by eyes that judge your every step, from the angle of your bow to the humility in your voice. This relentless scrutiny isn't just social, it's spiritual. Shinto and Buddhist beliefs weave through daily life, teaching that harmony comes from fulfilling your role. To stray is to anger the kami, the spirits who guard the natural order. Imagine the weight of that. Your smallest mistake could offend not just your lord, but the gods themselves. A peasant who grumbles too loudly might fear a storm as divine retribution. A samurai who falters in loyalty might see his family's downfall as cosmic justice. In this world, your soul is as bound as your body, tethered to a code that demands perfection. And yet, there's a strange resilience here. People endured, not because they loved their chains, but because they found meaning in the struggle. Contrast this with today, where we're drowning in choices. You can change jobs, move cities, or reinvent your identity with a new haircut. But in feudal Japan, such freedom would be unthinkable. Your life's script was written in ink that dried long before you were born. If you're a samurai, your story is one of sacrifice. Your every act is a brushstroke in your family's legacy. If you're a peasant, your tale is one of endurance. Your labor, the unseen thread stitching the nation together. Both paths demand a grit we can scarcely imagine, a tenacity that makes our modern stresses, missed deadlines, crowded commutes, seem trivial by comparison. Their survival wasn't just physical, it was a triumph of spirit against a world that offered no escape. This brings us to a deeper truth. Feudal Japan's rigidity forged a peculiar kind of strength. Samurai honed their minds as sharply as their blades, mastering poetry alongside warfare to prove their worth. Peasants, though crushed by toil, developed a quiet cunning, coaxing life from unforgiving soil. Their lives were harsh, yes, but they were also a testament to human endurance. We, with our therapies and apps, might scoff at their lack of mental health care, but their resilience whispers a challenge. Could we survive a single day in their world? The answer, if we're honest, is a humbling no. Their grit wasn't born of choice, but of necessity, a reminder that survival often demands bending without breaking. As you sink deeper into this world, consider the irony. We chase individuality, yet feudal Japan's people found purpose in collective duty. Their lives, though constrained, were rich with meaning, honor for the samurai, and survival for the peasant. Today, we're free to choose, but that freedom can paralyze us with doubt. Did they know something we've forgotten? Their world, for all its cruelty, was a masterclass in resilience, a stark contrast to our endless quest for balance. As you drift towards sleep, let this thought linger. They didn't just live, they endured, carving their mark on history with every bow, every harvest, every breath. And in that endurance, there's a quiet victory worth honoring. The beauty of this history lies in its contradictions. Feudal Japan was a land of exquisite poetry and brutal consequences, of cherry blossoms and blood-soaked blades. Your role, whether samurai or peasant, was a thread in a tapestry larger than yourself. To us, it's a prison. To them, it was life. As you imagine yourself in their world, feel the weight of their rules, but also their strength. They didn't have therapists or vacations, but they had a purpose, forged in the fire of a system that demanded everything. We might pity them, but they'd likely pity us, our restless minds, our endless choices. So as the night deepens, let their story wrap around you like a worn kimono, heavy with history, but oddly comforting. You're not just hearing history, you're living it, if only for a moment. As dawn breaks over feudal Japan, the world stirs not with possibility, but with a decree as rigid as the frost on your window. Society here isn't a playground of opportunity. It's a fortress, its walls built from tradition, its gates locked by birth. You're not a person with dreams. You're a role slotted into a hierarchy that scorns ambition and rewards submission. Samurai, peasant, artisan, merchant, your place is etched into your blood, and to step beyond it is to court disaster. This isn't a ladder you climb. It's a chain you wear, heavy with the expectations of 1,000 ancestors. In our world, we chase reinvention, but here the very thought of change is a heresy. As you sink into this unforgiving reality, feel the weight of a system that doesn't just limit you, it defines you, down to the breath you draw. Picture yourself in a village, the air thick with the scent of damp earth and smoke. If you're a samurai, you stride through the dirt paths, your katana a gleaming reminder of your status. Villagers bow low, their eyes averted, not out of respect, but fear. Your power is real, but it's a leash. Your lord's word is your law, and your honor is a fragile thing, easily shattered by a single misstep. Now shift your gaze to the peasant, bent over in the rice fields, his back a map of toil. His hands cracked and calloused, he churns the mud for a harvest that's never truly his. Artisans carve beauty into lacquered boxes they'll never own, while merchants, flush with coin, slink through society's shadows, despised for their wealth. Each role is a sentence, and the judge is a system that's been ruling for centuries. This hierarchy isn't just strict, it's sacred. Samurai, roughly 5% of the population, are the sword and soul of Japan, trained from childhood to wield both blade and decorum. Their Bushido code demands loyalty, courage, and a stoic heart, but it's less a philosophy than a cage. One false move, a poorly timed laugh, a hesitant bow, and disgrace could burn through generations. Artisans skilled in crafting silk or swords live a notch below, their work admired but their lives expendable. Merchants, though often richer than samurai, are the lowest. Their trade is seen as parasitic in a culture that exalts honor over profit. And peasants, they're the silent majority, their sweat feeding the nation while their voices are ignored. The system's genius is its permanence. No one rises, no one falls, and everyone knows their place. Let's linger on the absurdity of this setup. Today, you might quit a job, pivot careers, or launch a startup from your couch. But in feudal Japan, such notions would spark laughter or a swift execution. Want to trade your plow for a paintbrush? The village headman would have you flogged for disrupting the order. A merchant dreaming of samurai status? His wealth might buy rice but never respect. The system's rules aren't just enforced, they're internalized and woven into the fabric of daily life. You don't question your place because no one around you does. It's as if the mountains themselves whisper, "Stay where you are." And yet, there's a grim elegance to this order, a world so tightly knit that chaos is unthinkable. It's a machine, and you're a gear, turning exactly as you're meant to. The point of shock hits when you realize escape is impossible. Picture a young peasant, his eyes tracing the horizon beyond the fields. He's clever, quick with numbers, and maybe even dreams of a different life. But the moment he voices that spark, say to apprentice as a merchant, he's branded a troublemaker. His family, fearing shame, hushes him. The village, bound by tradition, shuns him. By week's end, he's back in the mud, his spirit bruised, but his body intact. For a samurai, the cage is tighter still. A single dishonor, failing your lord, losing a duel, could demand seppuku, a ritual suicide to cleanse your name. The system doesn't just limit you, it owns you, body and soul, and its grip is as relentless as the tides. Step into this world's daily rhythm. As a peasant, your mornings begin with the creak of your hut's door, the cold biting your bare feet. You trudge to the fields, the headman's tally of your debts, a constant hum in your mind. Your labor is taxed, your harvest claimed, and your life measured in sacks of rice. If you're a samurai, your day starts with a prayer to your ancestors, your swords polished to mirror your resolve. You train, you kneel, you serve, knowing one error could unravel your legacy. Artisans labor in dim workshops, their hands shaping beauty for lords they'll never meet. Merchants count coins in secret, their wealth a quiet rebellion against their scorned status. Every role, from the highest to the lowest, is a performance, and the audience is a society that never blinks. This structure wasn't born of cruelty, but of necessity. Feudal Japan, roughly from the 12th to 19th centuries, faced constant wars, famines, and upheavals. The Tokugawa shogunate, established in 1603, cemented this hierarchy to stabilize a fractured land. Samurai enforced order, peasants fed the masses, artisans supplied culture, and merchants greased the wheels of trade. The system worked because it had to. Without it, Japan might have crumbled under its weight. But at what cost? The individual was erased, their desires buried beneath the greater good. A peasant's ingenuity, a merchant's ambition, a samurai's doubts, all were sacrifices on the altar of harmony. It's a stark reminder that stability, so prized in chaotic times, often comes at the price of freedom. Now let's draw a thread to our world. We're obsessed with mobility, climbing corporate ladders, chasing side hustles, and curating our personal brands. But in feudal Japan, such restlessness would be a sin. Your role was your identity, and to question it was to unravel the world. A samurai didn't ponder his work life balance, he served or died. A peasant didn't dream of financial freedom, he toiled or starved. Their lives, though chained, were anchored by purpose. We, with our endless options, often drift in indecision, our minds cluttered with what ifs. Their clarity, born of constraint, is both alien and humbling. Could we endure a world where every step was scripted, every dream forbidden? The question lingers like a shadow. This hierarchy's resilience is a kind of marvel. Samurai, despite their power, lived on a knife's edge, their honor a currency more volatile than gold. Peasants, though oppressed, mastered the art of survival, coaxing life from barren fields. Artisans wove beauty into a brutal world, their work a quiet defiance. Even merchants, scorned as they were, found ways to thrive, their coins whispering power where honor fell short. Each group, in its own way, carved meaning from a system that offered none. Their strength wasn't in rebellion, but in endurance, a testament to the human spirit's ability to bloom in the tightest cracks. We might call their lives tragic, but they'd see ours as chaotic, our freedoms a maze with no center. As you drift deeper into this world, feel the paradox. Feudal Japan was a land of rigid order, yet constant tension, of serene temples and bloody battlefields. Your place, whether samurai or peasant, was a thread in a tapestry you'd never see whole. To us, it's a prison. To them, it was purpose. Their lives were a dance on a tightrope, each step measured, each fall's fatal. Yet they danced, not because they chose to, but because they had to. As the night wraps around you, let their stories settle like dust on an ancient scroll. They didn't just survive, they shaped a world, one bow, one harvest, one life at a time. And in their struggle, there's a lesson. Sometimes, meaning is found not in freedom, but in the chains we learn to carry. As the first light of dawn creeps through your shuttered window, you rise in feudal Japan, not to chase dreams, but to face a ritual as unyielding as the mountains. Cleanliness here isn't a choice, it's a mandate, woven into the very soul of society. You don't wash to feel fresh, you scour your skin to prove your worth, to dodge the sharp sting of shame. In a land where honor is sharper than any katana, a speck of dirt isn't just untidy, it's a betrayal of your family, your role, and the gods who watch your every move. While we might linger over a hot shower, you're plunging into icy streams, your breath catching as the cold bites. This isn't about comfort, it's about survival in a world that judges you by the gleam of your skin. As you settle into this stark reality, feel the chill of a culture where purity is both a shield and a chain. Step into the morning's bite, your feet bare against the frost-kissed ground. If you're a samurai, your day begins with a meticulous cleansing, your hands trembling as you splash freezing water from a wooden bucket. Your lord expects you to be spotless, your armor gleaming, your presence a mirror of discipline. A single smudge could mark you as careless, a flaw that whispers disloyalty. For a peasant, the ritual is no less demanding. You trudge to the river, your ragged clothes no match for the winter's grip, and scrub until your knuckles bleed. The village gossips have eyes like hawks, and a dirty face could brand you lazy, unfit for the fields that feed the nation. Artisans and merchants, too, bow to this obsession, their hands washed raw to honor the crafts and coins they handle. Cleanliness isn't personal, it's public, a performance for a society that never stops watching. This fixation on purity runs deeper than vanity. In feudal Japan, from the Kamakura period, 1185-1333, to the Tokugawa era, 1603-1868, cleanliness was a pillar of Shinto, the spiritual backbone of the land. Shinto taught that impurity, kegare, offended the kami, the spirits guarding nature and order. A dirty body wasn't just unsightly, it was a spiritual stain, inviting misfortune. Bathing became a sacred act, not for health, but for harmony. Public bathhouses, though rare for peasants, were shrines of ritual for the elite, where samurai and lords soaked in steaming tubs to cleanse both body and soul. Yet even these moments of warmth came with rules. The wrong posture, the slightest breach of etiquette, and you'd tarnish your name. The irony? In a land of cherry blossoms and silk, cleanliness was less a luxury than a lash, whipping you into submission. Let's pause to savor the sheer madness of this. Today, we treat hygiene as self-care, a quick rinse to start the day. But in feudal Japan, it was a high-stakes game. Picture yourself as a peasant, shivering by the river, your fingers numb as you scrub with coarse sand because soap is a distant dream. You're not doing this for comfort. You're dodging the village headman's wrath, who'd see your grime as defiance. Or consider the samurai, his morning bath a prelude to a day of serving a lord whose moods shift like storm clouds. One speck of dirt, one unpolished nail, and whispers of dishonor could unravel his legacy. It's absurd, yet darkly poetic. A society so obsessed with purity that it polishes its people like stones, smoothing away any trace of individuality. The point of shock lands when you realize cleanliness could kill you. Winter in feudal Japan is merciless, its winds slicing through thin robes. Yet you must bathe, even as ice rims the river's edge. Pneumonia was a silent stalker, claiming those who lingered too long in the cold. Historical records from the Edo period hint at illness spiking in colder months, though no one connected it to these frigid rituals. For peasants, the risk was doubled. Malnourished and overworked, they faced the water with bodies already brittle. Samurai, though better fed, wasn't immune. Their elaborate cleansing routines, often before dawn, left them vulnerable to chills. The system demanded purity at any cost, and sometimes the price was your life. You weren't just washing away dirt, you were gambling with your survival. Feel the rhythm of this obsession. As a peasant, your day begins with this icy ordeal, your skin raw before you even reach the fields. The headman's tally of your debts looms, but so does the unspoken rule: show up clean or face scorn. Your hut offers no respite. Leaking roofs and smoky fires make staying clean a cruel joke. If you're a samurai, your morning is a choreography of precision. You bathe, you dress, you pray, each act a brushstroke in the portrait of honor you present to your lord. Artisans scrub to honor their craft, their hands as clean as the lacquer they shape. Merchants, ever practical, wish to deflect the disdain of a society that loathes their trade. Every splash of water is a reminder you're not your own. This culture of cleanliness wasn't just about appearances, it was control. The Tokugawa shogunate, ruling from 1603, used ritual to enforce order. Cleanliness signaled obedience, a visible sign you'd bowed to the system. For samurai, it reinforced Bushido's demand for discipline. For peasants, it was another tax on their labor. Bathing wasn't private, it was policed. Village elders noted who skipped the river, while lords inspected their retainers' grooming. Even children learned early, scrubbing alongside parents to avoid the kami's wrath. The system's brilliance was its reach. From the shogun's palace to Lowestoft, everyone was bound by the same obsession. It wasn't enough to work or fight. You had to shine, even if it broke you. Now let's weave this into our world. We pamper ourselves with scented soaps and hot towels, our bathroom sanctuaries of self-care. But in feudal Japan, cleanliness was a battlefield. You didn't bathe to relax. You fought to prove your place. We might grumble about a cold shower, but they faced hypothermia for honor's sake. Their obsession seems alien, yet it mirrors our fixations. Think of the pressure to look perfect on social media, where one wrong post can spark a firestorm. Their world judged your skin, ours judged your image. But here's the difference. They had no choice. Their resilience, born of necessity, humbles us. We stress over likes. They staked their lives on a spotless robe. This relentless pursuit of purity forged a strange strength. Peasants, despite their hardship, mastered endurance, scrubbing through winters that would crush us. Samurai turned bathing into an art, their discipline a shield against chaos. Even merchants, scorned as they were, used cleanliness to carve a niche, their polished appearance a quiet defiance. Their lives were a testament to human tenacity, finding purpose in a system that offered none. We might pity their obsession, but they'd likely scoff at our fragility, our meltdowns over Wi-Fi outages or coffee spills. Their grit wasn't chosen, it was forged, a reminder that survival often means thriving in the absurd. As you drift deeper into this world, savor its contradictions. Feudal Japan was a land of serene rituals and brutal demands, of sacred springs and freezing rivers. Cleanliness was both worship and punishment, a daily act that bound you to your role. To us, it's madness. To them, it was life. Their bodies, scrubbed raw, carried the weight of a society that demanded perfection. Yet they endured, not because they loved the cold, but because they had to. As the night folds around you, let their stories settle like mist on a quiet stream. They didn't just wash, they survived, proving that even in the harshest rituals, there's a spark of defiance worth admiring. As the sun climbs over feudal Japan's mist-shrouded hills, you awaken not as a dreamer, but as a samurai, your life a tightrope strung between honor and oblivion. Forget the cinematic glow of clashing swords and heroic stands. This is no tale of glory. Your existence is a relentless performance, governed by Bushido, a code so unforgiving it makes the mountains seem soft. Every gesture, every word is a test, and failure isn't met with a scolding, but with disgrace or death. Your lord, the daimyo, is less a master than a god, his whims shaping your days like storms carve the coast. In a world where loyalty is your pulse, you don't live for yourself. You live for him, your soul forged into a blade that must never dull. As you drift into this harsh reality, feel the weight of a life where honor is both your crown and your noose. Picture yourself rising in a sparse wooden room, the air sharp with the scent of cedar and steel. Your twin swords, katana, and wakizashi rest beside you, gleaming reminders of your duty. You don't strap them on for swagger. They're your identity, your life's contract. Before dawn, you kneel at a small shrine, whispering prayers to ancestors who watch your every move with ghostly scrutiny. Your armor, lacquered and heavy, waits in the corner, its weight a metaphor for the expectations you carry. Outside, the world is waking, peasants toil, merchants haggle, but you, the samurai, are apart, a figure both revered and feared. Your status grants you power, but it's a leash, tethered to a daimyo whose moods could summon your death as easily as his praise. One misstep, and your family's name could crumble like ash. Bushido, the way of the warrior, isn't a philosophy you ponder. It's a cage you inhabit. Emerging in the Kamakura period, 1185-1333, and solidified under the Tokugawa shogunate, 1603-1868, this code demanded loyalty, courage, and self-control. You don't question your lord's orders, even if they send you to a hopeless battle. You don't flinch at pain, even if it's your blood pooling on the ground. Honor is your currency, more precious than gold, but it's maddeningly fragile. A careless word, a poorly timed bow, or a moment of weakness could brand you a disgrace. The punishment? Often seppuku, a ritual suicide where you plunge a blade into your gut to restore your name. It's not death that terrifies you. It's the shame that lingers if you fail to die well. Let's linger on the sheer lunacy of this life. In our world, we dodge deadlines and vent on social media when the boss snaps. But as a samurai, you can't roll your eyes at your daimyo's whims. Imagine him demanding you guard a remote outpost in the frozen north because you glanced at his tea tray too long. You go because refusal isn't an option. It's treason. Your life is a performance for an audience of one, and the script is written in blood. The irony is brutal. You're trained to kill, yet your greatest enemy is yourself. One slip, a drunken jest, a moment of cowardice, and your legacy is dust. It's a world so precise, so punishing, that even your dreams must salute before they wander. The point of shock slices through when you grasp the cost of failure. Picture a duel as not chosen but demanded, because your lord's honor was slighted. You face an opponent whose skill outmatches yours, your heart pounding as the crowd watches. If you lose, your family's name is tarnished. If you flee, it's obliterated. Historical records from the Edo period describe samurai who faced such moments, their fates sealed by a single stroke. Some chose seppuku preemptively, sparing their kin the shame of defeat. The system didn't just demand your life, it demanded your soul, forcing you to choose between dying well or living cursed. You're not a hero, you're a pawn, and the board is rigged against you. Step into the daily grind of this existence. Your mornings are consumed by training, swordplay, archery, calligraphy, to sharpen both body and mind. You practice until your hands blister, not for glory, but for survival. By noon, you kneel before your daimyo, his orders a labyrinth of cryptic demands. Perhaps he sends you to collect taxes from a starving village, their resentment a silent blade at your back. Or maybe you're tasked with guarding his castle, your eyes scanning for threats that could be bandits or your own lord's paranoia. Meals are sparse, rice, pickled plums, a sip of weak tea, because indulgence is weakness. Every act, from the way you sit to the tone of your voice, is a performance, and the audience is a society that punishes imperfection. This life wasn't just demanding, it was a paradox. Samurai, making up roughly 5% of Japan's population, were both elite and enslaved. They held power over peasants, yet their freedom was a myth. The Tokugawa shogunate crafted this system to ensure stability, turning samurai into enforcers of a rigid order. Your loyalty wasn't just to your lord, but to the entire machine of feudal Japan, a machine that crushed individuality. You might pen a haiku under the moonlight, its beauty a fleeting rebellion, but by dawn, you're back in the cage. The system's genius was its total control. It didn't just rule your actions, it shaped your thoughts, convincing you that honor was worth more than life itself. Now let's draw a thread to our world. We chase validation, likes, promotions, 5-star reviews, our egos bruised by a harsh email. But samurai lived with stakes we can't fathom. A bad day for us meant spilled coffee. For them, it meant a blade to the belly. Their world had no room for self-care or mental health days. Yet their discipline humbles us. They trained their minds to face death without flinching, a focus we might envy as we scroll through our anxieties. Their lives, though brutal, were anchored by purpose, something we, with our endless choices, often lack. Could we endure a single hour under Bushido's glare? The answer is a quiet no, a nod to their iron will. This relentless code forged a unique resilience. Samurai weren't just warriors, they were scholars, poets, strategists. They mastered the art of living on the edge, their every act a balance of grace and grit. A samurai might spend years perfecting a single sword stroke, not for fame, but for duty. Their lives were a testament to human endurance, finding meaning in a system that offered none. Oh, we might call their devotion tragic, but they'd likely pity our restlessness, our lives adrift in a sea of options. Their strength wasn't in defiance, but in surrender, not to weakness, but to a code that demanded everything. It's a paradox we can only marvel at, a life both crushing and profound. As you sink deeper into this world, feel its contradictions. Feudal Japan was a land of exquisite discipline and savage consequence, of poetic souls and bloodied blades. To be a samurai was to walk a path where honor was both shield and shackle. Their lives were a dance with death, each step precise, each misstep fatal. Yet they danced, not because they loved the tune, but because they had to. As the night wraps around you, let their story settle like the weight of a katana in your hands. They didn't just serve, they survived, proving that even in the tightest chains, there's a spark of will worth honoring. As the morning mist clings to the fields of feudal Japan, you awaken not to hope, but to the weight of another day's labor. If you're a peasant, your life is no epic saga. It's a relentless grind, etched in mud and measured in sweat. The rice fields stretch before you like a sea of toil, each step sinking you deeper into a world that demands your strength but ignores your name. Your meals are scraps, your home a leaking hut, and your future a mirror of your father's past. Bandits lurk on the horizon, and the village headman's ledger looms larger than any storm. In this land of cherry blossoms and samurai, your role is to feed the nation while starving in silence. As you settle into this unforgiving rhythm, feel the ache of a life where survival is your only victory. Picture yourself rising before dawn, the air sharp with frost, your straw mat offering no comfort against the dirt floor. Your hut, a patchwork of wood and thatch, groans under the weight of last night's rain. Breakfast is a handful of cold rice, maybe a withered root if the harvest was kind. There's no coffee to spark your day, no phone to distract you, just the endless fields waiting to break your back. You trudge through the mud, your sandals worn to threads, your hands already cracked from yesterday's work. The rice paddies, romanticized in modern tales, are a quagmire, each plant a demand on your body. 12 hours stretch ahead, and the headman's voice, sharp as a whip, reminds you of your debts. Your life isn't yours. It belongs to the land, the Lord, and a system that sees you as little more than a tool. This is the peasant's reality in feudal Japan, from the Kamakura period, 1185-1333, to the Tokugawa shogunate of 1603-1868. You're one of the roughly 80% of the population bound to the earth, and your labor is the backbone of a nation that barely acknowledges you. Rice is the currency of power, but you'll never taste its wealth. Taxes claim most of your harvest, leaving you to scrape by on what remains. The headman, a local enforcer, tracks every grain, his tally a chain around your neck. Bandit raids are a constant threat. Edo period records note villages plundered by ronin or desperate outlaws. If the crops fail, it's not just hunger you face but blame, as if you could coax rain from an indifferent sky. Your life is a cycle of planting, weeding, and praying for mercy from nature and man alike. Let's pause to savor the bitter irony. In our world, we grumble about long hours or a missed lunch break. But for you, a peasant, hunger is a lifelong companion. Imagine a day when your ox, your only lifeline, wanders off. You search in panic, knowing the headman will fine you for its loss. Or picture a season when drought shrivels the rice, and you're forced to explain the shortfall to a lord who doesn't care if your children starve. Today, we order takeout when the fridge is empty. In feudal Japan, an empty harvest meant death by inches. The system wasn't cruel by accident. It was built to keep you down, your labor fueling samurai wars and merchant riches while you chewed on roots. Yet there's a grim poetry in your endurance, a stubborn spark that refuses to flicker out. The point of shock hits when you realize survival is a gamble you're rigged to lose. Picture this. You've worked dawn to dusk, your hands bleeding, only to find bandits have raided your village. Your meager stores, rice you hid for winter, are gone, and the headman still demands his share. Historical accounts from the Sengoku period describe villages burned, peasants slaughtered, and their lives erased without a footnote. Or worse, imagine a flood sweeping through, your fields drowned in a night. Tokugawa records note frequent famines, with tens of thousands starving in bad years. You can't negotiate with nature, and the system offers no safety net. Your only choice is to plant again, to toil again, knowing the next disaster waits. This isn't just hardship. It's a life where hope is a luxury you can't afford. Feel the rhythm of this existence. Your day begins with the squelch of mud underfoot, the weight of a hoe on your shoulder. You plant rice, each seedling a prayer for survival. By noon, your back screams, but you can't stop. Taxes don't wait. Lunch, if you're lucky, is a scrap of rice wrapped in a leaf, eaten in the shade of a tree. The headman's shadow looms, his ledger a catalog of your failures. Bandits aren't your only fear. Disease stalks the fields, and Edo period texts mention smallpox and dysentery claiming entire villages. Evening brings no rest. You limp home to a hut that's more sieve than shelter, your family's hungry eyes a silent accusation. Sleep is fleeting, broken by the creak of a roof or the dread of tomorrow's labor. This life wasn't just grueling, it was a deliberate design. The Tokugawa shogunate structured society to depend on your sweat. Peasants produced the rice that fed samurai armies and filled merchant coffers, yet you were invisible, your name unrecorded unless you defaulted on taxes. The system demanded your obedience, not your thoughts. You didn't learn to read or write. Literacy was for the elite. Your education was in the field, your teacher the seasons, and your exam survival. Yet within this oppression, You found ways to endure. Village festivals, rare and brief, offered moments of song and dance, a flicker of joy stolen from a system that gave you none. Your resilience wasn't loud, but it was unbreakable, a quiet rebellion against a world that demanded your silence. Now let's weave this into our world. We stress over emails, traffic, or a low phone battery, but for you, a peasant, a bad day meant starvation. We have apps to track our diets and therapists to soothe our minds. You had only your hands and a stubborn will to keep going. Your life humbles us, a reminder that our hard days are soft by comparison. Yet there's a strange kinship here. We too feel trapped by jobs, expectations, and screens, our modern fields of toil. Your endurance, though born of necessity, speaks to a universal truth. Survival is a craft honed in the face of despair. Could we last a week in your mud-soaked shoes? The answer is a humbling whisper, drowned by the comforts we take for granted. This peasant's life forged a strength we can only marvel at. You didn't just work, you wrestled life from the earth, coaxing rice from flood and drought. Your hands, scarred and worn, were the foundation of a nation that ignored you. You sang work songs to outlast the pain and shared stories to defy the silence. We might call your life tragic, but you'd likely scoff at our fragility, our breakdowns over a missed deadline or a bad Wi-Fi signal. Your grit was a quiet fire, burning through centuries of hardship. It's a testament to the human spirit, finding light in a world that offered only shadows. Your story isn't one of triumph, but of survival, and in that, there's a raw, unspoken victory. As you sink deeper into this world, feel its contradictions. Feudal Japan was a land of delicate beauty and brutal labor, of silent fields and screaming hunger. Your life as a peasant was a thread in a tapestry you'd never see, woven for lords and samurai who dined on your sweat. To us, it's a prison. To you, it was a purpose. Your days were a dance with scarcity, each step a defiance of the odds. As the night folds around you, let your story settle like dust on a weathered hoe. You didn't just toil, you endured, proving that even in the harshest fields, there's a will to live that no system can crush. As the sun arcs over feudal Japan's tightly woven villages, you step into a world where every word, every thread of your kimono is a potential trap. Society here isn't just ordered, it's a stage, and you're an actor bound by a script so precise it makes your modern life seem like a free-for-all. A misplaced joke could land you in exile, a mischosen color could shame your clan. Your voice, your bow, and even the angle of your gaze are all under scrutiny, judged by eyes that never blink. In this land of delicate cherry blossoms and brutal blades, etiquette isn't a courtesy. It's a chain, locking you into a performance where one wrong step could unravel everything. As you sink into this rigid reality, feel the weight of a culture where silence is safer than speech, and your very appearance is a test you can't afford to fail. Picture yourself navigating a dusty village path, your kimono's hem brushing the ground. If you're a samurai, your robes are a canvas of status. Each folds a testament to your discipline. One wrong knot, one faded hue, and whispers of dishonor ripple through the court. As a peasant, your tattered garment is a badge of your place, its plainness a reminder to stay humble. But even that simplicity comes with rules. Wear a color meant for spring in autumn, and you've insulted the seasons themselves. Your words are just as perilous. A casual quip to a superior could be read as defiance. A too loud laugh might signal disrespect. Silence, you learn quickly, is your shield. You bow low, eyes down, voice soft, because in this world, attention is a spotlight, and it burns. Every gesture is a dance, and the choreography is unforgiving. This obsession with etiquette wasn't mere formality. It was the glue of feudal Japan's society from the Kamakura period, 1185-1333, to the Tokugawa shogunate, 1603-1868. The Tokugawa rulers, seeking stability after centuries of war, crafted a system where behavior was as controlled as the harvest. Samurai followed Bushido's rigid code, where a misplaced word could cost more than a battle. Peasants, though lower, faced the same scrutiny. Village elders watched for any breach of decorum, ready to report to the headman. Even merchants, scorned for their trade, had to master the art of deference, their bows deeper to offset their wealth. The system demanded harmony, and harmony meant control. You didn't just follow rules, you embodied them, your every act a reflection of a society that prized order over individuality. Let's linger on the absurdity of this dance. In our world, we toss off sarcastic texts or wear whatever's clean, but in feudal Japan, every syllable is a tightrope. Picture yourself at a lord's banquet, your stomach growling as you wait to eat until he nods. You try to compliment his garden, but your tone's too casual. Suddenly, you're a guest no more, reassigned to a frozen outpost for disrespect. Or consider a peasant chatting with neighbors after a long day, when just about the headman's greed, overheard by the wrong ears, and you're hauled before the village, your family's name now a stain. It's laughable, yet chilling. A society so delicate that a word could spark a scandal, a color could end a legacy. The rules weren't just strict, they were a labyrinth, and you had no map. The point of shock lands when you realize a single slip could destroy you. Imagine you're a samurai, bowing before your daimyo. Your sleeve brushes his tea tray, a tiny error, but his eyes narrow. By dusk, you're ordered to a distant province, and your family left to whisper apologies. Edo period records describe such punishments. Samurai exiled for minor breaches, their lives upended by a moment's lapse. For a peasant, the stakes were just as high. A misspoken complaint about taxes could lead to flogging, your name marked in the headman's ledger. Women faced even tighter constraints. A misplaced hairpin or an unseasonal kimono pattern could ignite a neighborhood whisper war as gossip became a weapon. Your life wasn't just watched, it was dissected, every detail a potential crime. Feel the pulse of this world. As a samurai, your day is a series of calculated moves. You speak in measured tones, your words polished like your blade. At court, you navigate conversations like a battlefield, each phrase a potential mine. Your kimono, heavy with silk and symbolism, must match the season, the occasion, and the mood of your lord. As a peasant, your speech is simpler, but no less fraught. You murmur agreement to the headman's demands, your eyes fixed on the ground. Your clothes, patched and plain, must never mimic the elite's finery, lest you're accused of overstepping. Even children learn this dance early, mimicking their parents' bows to avoid a scolding. Every interaction, from a greeting to a farewell, is a performance, and the audience, neighbors, lords, even the kami spirits, is merciless. This etiquette wasn't just about manners, it was power. The Tokugawa shogunate used rituals to enforce hierarchy, ensuring everyone knew their place. Samurai were trained in calligraphy and tea ceremonies, not for art but for discipline, their grace a mirror of their loyalty. Peasants learned silence to avoid punishment, their deference a tax as real as rice. Women, especially, were bound by intricate rules, kimono patterns, hair arrangements, and even the pitch of their voice signaled their role. A noblewoman's wrong hairpin could spark a feud. A peasant woman's bold glance could mark her as trouble. The system's brilliance was its reach. From the shogun's palace to the humblest village, every gesture reinforced order. You weren't just living, you were performing a role in a play that never ended. Now let's weave this into our world. We fret over a poorly worded email or a fashion faux pas, but in feudal Japan, such mistakes were life or death. We might post a snarky tweet and lose a few followers. They could lose their homes for a snarky word. Our social media battles are fleeting, but their social missteps were eternal, etched into family legacies. Yet there's a strange kinship here. We too navigate unwritten rules, office politics, social cues, the pressure to fit in. Their world was a cage of etiquette, but ours isn't entirely free. Their discipline, though brutal, offers a lesson. Clarity and purpose, even if enforced, can cut through chaos. Could we survive a day under such scrutiny? The answer humbles us, a nod to their resilience in a world that demanded perfection. This rigid code forged a quiet strength. Samurai wove grace into their deadly art, their bows as precise as their sword strokes. Peasants mastered the art of silence, their restraint a shield against a system that offered no mercy. Women, bound by beauty's rules, found ways to shine, their elegance a subtle defiance. Their lives were a testament to endurance, carving meaning from a world that gave them none. We might pity their constraints, but they'd likely scoff at our fragility, our meltdowns over a bad meeting or a wardrobe malfunction. Their grit was a fire, burning through centuries of rules. It's a story not of freedom, but of survival, and in that, there's a raw, unspoken victory. As you drift deeper into this world, feel its contradictions. Feudal Japan was a land of serene rituals and savage consequences, of silk robes and silent fears. Your life, whether samurai or peasant, was a thread in a tapestry woven by rules you didn't write. To us, it's a prison. To them, it was purpose. Your days were a dance on a razor's edge, each gesture a defiance of chaos. As the night folds around you, let their story settle like the hush of a temple at dusk. They didn't just obey, they endured, proving that even in the tightest script, there's a will to live that no rule can silence. As twilight drapes feudal Japan in a hush of shadow, you awaken as a woman, your life a delicate weave of beauty and restraint, where every step is a dance on a blade's edge. Your world is not your own. It's a tapestry of rules, where your kimono's folds, your hairpin's angle, and the softness of your voice are judged as harshly as a samurai's sword. In this land of serene temples and ruthless honor, to be a woman is to be a silent artist, painting grace with every gesture while hiding your heart. Love, ambition, and even a stray thought are dangerous sparks in a society that demands your stillness. As you slip into this tightly bound existence, feel the weight of a culture where silence isn't just safe, it's survival, and your every move is a performance for an audience that never forgives. Picture yourself in a modest home, the air heavy with the scent of charcoal and rice. Your day begins with the ritual of dressing, your kimono a canvas of coded meanings. Each pattern, cherry blossoms for spring, maples for autumn, must align with the season, or you risk insulting the natural order. Your hair, pinned into intricate loops, signals your status: a samurai's wife, a peasant's daughter, or a merchant's bride. One wrong twist and gossips spread like wildfire, branding you careless or worse, defiant. You move with measured grace, your voice a whisper, because to speak loudly is to invite scorn. At a village festival, you bow to elders, your eyes downcast, knowing a bold glance could spark a scandal. Your life is a performance, and the stage is a society that sees your silence as your greatest virtue. This wasn't mere tradition, it was control, rooted in feudal Japan's rigid hierarchy, from the Kamakura period, 1185-1333, to the Tokugawa shogunate, 1603-1868. Women, whether noble or peasant, were bound by Confucian ideals and Shinto beliefs, which prized harmony and submission. A samurai's wife managed the household, her elegance a reflection of her husband's honor, but her opinions were locked away. A peasant woman toiled alongside men in the fields, her hands as calloused as her husband's, yet her voice was expected to stay soft. Even love was a minefield. Romance outside your class or without approval could disgrace your family. Edo period records note women punished for indecent behavior, and Elias merchant's daughter was exiled for a forbidden affair. Your role was to uphold the family's name, not to chase your desires. Let's pause to savor the bitter irony. In our world, we post selfies, debate opinions, and chase love with reckless abandon. But in feudal Japan, your every act was a calculated brushstroke. Picture yourself as a noblewoman, your kimono heavy with silk, each folds a silent prayer for approval. You serve tea with precision, knowing a clumsy pour could shame your clan. Or see yourself as a peasant woman, your hands raw from weaving straw, yet expected to smile demurely when the headman passes. A Miskosan hairpin could ignite a neighborhood whisper war, as village tongues turned your mistake into a moral failing. It's absurd, yet chilling. A society where your hairstyle could ruin your life, where your silence was louder than any scream. The point of shock strikes when you realize a single misstep could erase you. Imagine you're a samurai's daughter, attending a moon viewing party. You wear a kimono meant for summer, a tiny error, but the guest's whispers cut deeper than any blade. By morning, your family faces scorn, and your marriage prospects have dimmed. Historical accounts from the Tokugawa era describe women ostracized for such breaches, some driven to suicide to restore honor. For a peasant woman, the stakes were just as high. A bold word to a village elder could mark you as trouble, and your face could be Emily fined or shunned. Your life wasn't just constrained, it was a tightrope, where one slip could send you plummeting into disgrace, your name a cautionary tale for others. Feel the rhythm of this existence. Your mornings are consumed by dressing, each knot a ritual, each pin a test. As a noblewoman, you glide through the day, serving tea or sewing, your movements a silent symphony of grace. As a peasant, you toil in the fields, your back bent, but your demeanor soft, lest you draw the headman's ire. Your words, if you dare speak, are measured, your laughter muted. Even in rare moments of joy, a festival dance, a shared glance with a friend, you guard your expression, knowing eyes are always watching. Children mimic your restraint, learning early that boldness is a luxury. Your life is a delicate balance, a performance where the audience, family, village, and gods demands perfection. This system wasn't just oppressive, it was a masterpiece of control. The Tokugawa shogunate used etiquette to reinforce hierarchy, ensuring women, like all others, stayed in their place. Noble women were trained in calligraphy or poetry, not for expression, but to enhance their family's prestige. Peasant women learned domestic skills, sewing, cooking, to serve without complaint. Love was a rare privilege. Marriages were arranged to strengthen alliances, not hearts. Yet within these chains, women found ways to shine. A noblewoman's poem might slip into a lord's court, and a peasant's song might ease a field's toil. Their resilience was quiet, a thread of defiance woven into a system that demanded their silence. Now let's weave this into our world. We stress over a bad date or a social media misstep, but in feudal Japan, a woman's wrong move could end her family's honor. We chase self-expression, flaunting our individuality. They hid theirs to survive. Yet there's a kinship here. We too face scrutiny, online trolls, workplace expectations, the pressure to look right. Their world was a cage of silk and straw, but ours had its bars. Their grace under pressure humbles us, a reminder that strength isn't always loud. Could we endure a day in their tightly bound robes? The answer is a quiet no, a nod to their unspoken fortitude. This silent strength is a marvel. Women, whether noble or peasant, carved beauty from constraint. A noblewoman's perfect bow was a defiance of chaos, a peasant's soft song a rebellion against despair. Their lives were a testament to endurance, finding meaning in a world that offered none. We might pity their silence, but they'd likely scoff at our fragility, our meltdowns over a harsh comment or a wardrobe blunder. Their grit was a fire, burning through centuries of rules. It's a story not of freedom, but of survival, and in that, there's a quiet victory worth celebrating. As you drift deeper into this world, feel its contradictions. Feudal Japan was a land of exquisite beauty and suffocating rules, of silken grace and silent pain. Your life as a woman was a thread in a tapestry you'd never see, woven for others' glory. To us, it's a prison. To them, it was purpose. Your days were a dance of restraint, each step a defiance of judgment. As the night folds around you, let their story settle like a petal on a still pond. They didn't just endure, they shone, proving that even in silence, there's a will to live that no rule can break. As dusk settles over feudal Japan, painting the sky with the bruised hues of the evening, you stand in a world where survival teeters on the edge of chaos. Nature and politics conspire to keep you on edge, each as unpredictable as the other. Earthquakes rumble without warning, floods drown your fields, and famine stalks like a thief in the night. Above you, the schemes of lords and clans weave a web as perilous as any storm. A careless word, a misjudged loyalty, could send you into exile or worse. In this land of serene shrines and bloodied blades, your life is a candle flickering against gales, natural, political, and merciless. As you sink into this precarious existence, feel the pulse of a society where death is as close as your shadow, and every day is a gamble with forces you can't control. Picture yourself in a village, the air heavy with the scent of wet earth and fear. You're a peasant, your hands still muddy from a day in the rice fields when the ground trembles, a low growl that turns your world sideways. Houses of wood and paper collapse like brittle dreams, and your carefully tended crops vanish under a flood's wrath. Historical records from the Edo period, 1603-1868, document earthquakes, like the 1703 Genroku quake, which killed thousands and left villages in ruin. Floods, too, were relentless. Rivers swelled without mercy, drowning harvests and hopes alike. Famine followed a silent killer that claimed entire communities when rice stores ran dry. You pray to the kami spirits for protection, but the gods seem as indifferent as the storms. Your life, already bound by toil, is at the mercy of a nature that offers no apologies. Now shift to the political tempests. If you're a samurai, your world is a chessboard where every move could be your last. Your daimyo's favor is as fickle as spring rain. One day, you're his trusted retainer, and you're exiled for a rumor of disloyalty. The Tokugawa shogunate, ruling with an iron grip, kept clans in check through a system called Sankin Kotai, forcing lords to split their time between their domains and Edo, draining their wealth and loyalty. A misstep in this game, a letter intercepted, a rival's whisper, could see your head on a pike. Even peasants weren't spared. A village's failure to meet tax quotas could bring the Lord's wrath, with punishments ranging from fines to forced labor. Your life, whether high or low, is a thread in a tapestry of power, easily snipped by those above. Let's savor the dark comedy of this existence. In our world, we stress over Wi-Fi outages or late delivery, but in feudal Japan, a single tremor could erase your life's work. Picture yourself rebuilding a hut after a flood, only to hear the headman demand taxes on crops you no longer have. Or consider a samurai bowing low to a lord whose latest whim sends him to guard a desolate outpost, all because his rival smirked too slyly at court. It's absurd, yet chilling. A society where nature and politics are twin blades, slicing through your plans with equal indifference. The system wasn't just harsh, it was a rigged game where survival meant dodging disasters both earthly and human, all while keeping a straight face. The point of shock lands when you realize death is your constant companion. Imagine you're a peasant, waking to find your fields submerged, your family's winter stores washed away. You face the headman, his ledger unmoved by your pleas, and learn you'll be fined for a shortfall you didn't cause. Or picture a samurai caught in a clan feud sparked by a misinterpreted poem. Edo period records describe retainers executed for such trivial slights, their families stripped of status. The shogun himself wasn't safe. Court intrigues and rival clans plotted his downfall, their schemes as deadly as any earthquake. Your life isn't just fragile, it's a breath held against a storm where one gust, natural or political, could snuff you out. Feel the rhythm of this precarious world. As a peasant, your days are a blur of labor and dread. You plant rice, praying the rains come gently, but each rumble in the earth spikes your pulse. At night, you huddle in a leaking hut, the wind whispering threats of tomorrow's disasters. As a samurai, your mornings begin with strategy, not just for battles, but for navigating court politics. You pen a report and choose your words with care, knowing a rival might twist them into treason. Every meal, rice, a scrap of fish, is eaten with the weight of survival, and your mind is alert for the next crisis. Even sleep offers no escape. Dreams of floods or betrayals haunt you. Your life is a tightrope, and the wind never stops blowing. This dance of survival wasn't chaos, it was calculated. The Tokugawa shogunate used fear to maintain order, ensuring loyalty through the constant threat of punishment. Natural disasters, frequent in Japan's volatile landscape, were seen as divine judgment, reinforcing the need for obedience to both gods and lords. Peasants rebuilt after every quake, their labor a tax on their spirit. Samurai navigated court intrigues, their loyalty a shield against exile. Yet within this fragility, People found ways to endure. Villages shared rice during famines, a quiet defiance of scarcity. Samurai honed their minds, crafting poetry to outlast their fears. Their resilience wasn't loud, but it was ironclad, a testament to the human will to survive against impossible odds. Now, let's weave this into our world. We panic over a missed deadline or a power outage, but in feudal Japan, a single flood could mean starvation. We have insurance, emergency alerts, and grocery stores. They had prayers and grit. Their lives remind us how fragile our stability is, how a single crisis can upend our plans. Yet their endurance humbles us. They rebuilt after every disaster, served through every intrigue, finding purpose in a world that offered none. Could we face a day where nature and politics conspire against us? The answer is a quiet shake of the head, a nod to their unyielding spirit in a world that gave no quarter. This precarious existence forged a strength we can only admire. Peasants wove survival from the threads of disaster, their hands rebuilding what nature destroyed. Samurai balanced loyalty and fear, their minds as sharp as their blades. Their lives were a testament to human tenacity, finding meaning in a world that offered only threats. We might call their struggles tragic, but they'd likely pity our fragility, our breakdowns over trivial setbacks. Their grit was a fire, burning through storms and schemes. As you drift into this world, feel its tension. Feudal Japan was a land of quiet beauty and sudden chaos, of shrines and shadows. Your life was a flicker against the gales, yet you endured, proving that even in the face of ruin, there's a will to live that no disaster can extinguish. As night falls over feudal Japan, casting long shadows across Edo's towering castle, you step into the shoes of the shogun, the military dictator whose word is law, yet whose life is a tightrope over a pit of betrayal. Power here is no crown of glory. It's a gilded cage where every sip of tea could hide poison and every ally masks a dagger. You rule over provinces, armies, and the fates of millions, but your throne is built on whispers, schemes from clans, cousins, and courtiers plotting your fall. In this land of disciplined elegance and ruthless ambition, even the mightiest man sleeps with one eye open. As you sink into this treacherous world, feel the pulse of a life where power is as fleeting as a cherry blossom, and survival demands a vigilance that borders on madness. Picture yourself in the shogun's palace, its lacquered halls gleaming under torchlight. Your robes, heavy with silk and gold, mark you as the pinnacle of authority, yet they feel like armor against unseen enemies. Your day begins with advisors, their bows low, but their eyes sharp, each word a potential trap. The Tokugawa shogunate, 1603-1868, ruled through a delicate balance of fear and loyalty. But even you, the shogun, are not untouchable. Rival clans watch your every move, their letters intercepted by your spies, their smiles hiding schemes. Your own family is no refuge. Historical records from the Edo period describe cousins and uncles plotting coups, their ambitions cloaked in loyalty. A single misjudgment, like trusting the wrong advisor, could see your head displayed as a warning. Your power is absolute, but it's a flame that draws every month with a grudge. This precarious existence wasn't an accident. It was the system's design. The Tokugawa shogunate, established after centuries of civil war, maintained control through a web of surveillance and obligation. The skin total system forced daimyo to spend half their time in Edo, draining their wealth and keeping them under your watchful eye. But this came at a cost. Your court was a nest of vipers, each lord vying for a favor or plotting your downfall. You monitor their castles, intercept their letters, and weigh their loyalty like rice on a merchant's scale. Yet no amount of vigilance guarantees safety. Edo period chronicles note shoguns like Tsunayoshi, whose reforms sparked unrest, or Ainari, whose long reign was shadowed by whispers of rebellion. Your rule is a chess game where every piece might turn traitor. Let's pause to savor the dark humor in this. In our world, we stress over a bad performance review or a snarky email, but as the shogun, you fret over a poisoned teacup. Picture yourself at a banquet, the air thick with incense and tension. You raise your cup, but a fleeting glance from a cousin makes you pause. Is that a smirk or a threat? You can't fire him. You can only watch, your spies whispering reports of his late-night meetings. It's absurd, yet chilling. You're the most powerful man in Japan, yet you're as trapped as the peasants you rule. Your throne is a paradox, a seat of might built on a foundation of fear, where a single whisper could topple an empire. The point of shock hits when you realize even the shogun's life hangs by a thread. Imagine a night when your spies report a plot. Your cousin, charming at yesterday's council, has met with a rival clan. You confront him, but his denial is too smooth, his bow too perfect. Historical accounts detail such betrayals. In 1716, Shogun Tokugawa Ietsugu's death sparked rumors of poisoning, though none were proven. You order inspections and tighten security, but the fear lingers. Even the emperor, a ceremonial figure, casts a shadow. His court in Kyoto hums with subtle defiance. Your power is vast, but it's a house of paper, vulnerable to a single spark. To rule is to live in a storm, knowing one gust could end you. Feel the rhythm of this life. Your mornings are filled with reports, taxes, troop movements, clan alliances, each document a potential code for treason. You meet daimyo, their flattery as sharp as their swords, and you parse their words for hidden meanings. By noon, you inspect the castle, your guards trailing like shadows, their loyalty as questionable as the walls they patrol. Meals are a ritual of caution. You sip tea only after a taster nods, a practice rooted in Edo period fears of assassination. Even sleep is no escape. Dreams of betrayal haunt you, the creak of a floorboard jolting you awake. Your life is a performance, and the audience, clans, courtiers, even your kin, is waiting for you to falter. This paranoia wasn't just personal, it was structural. The Tokugawa system thrived on distrust, pitting daimyo against each other to prevent unified rebellion. You rewarded loyalty with land, punished suspicion with exile, and kept spies in every corner. Yet this web of control ensnared you too. You couldn't trust your advisors, your family, or even your instincts. The shogunate's stability relied on your vigilance, but it came at a cost, your peace. Still, within this cage, you found strength. You mastered strategy, poetry, and governance, your mind a blade honed by necessity. Your rule, though fragile, was a testament to human will, balancing power and fear in a dance that shaped a nation. Now let's weave this into our world. We lose sleep over a looming deadline or a social slight, but the shogun's fears make our stresses seem trivial. We have therapists and apps to soothe our minds. He had only his wits, sharpened by constant threat. His life reminds us how fragile power is, how even the mightiest can be undone by a whisper. Yet his resilience humbles us. He ruled through chaos, his mind a fortress against betrayal. Could we endure a day in his gilded cage? The answer is a quiet no, a nod to his ironclad resolve in a world where trust was a luxury he couldn't afford. This shogun's life was a marvel of endurance. He didn't just rule, he survived, navigating a labyrinth of schemes with a clarity we can only admire. His poetry, written in rare moments of peace, was a defiance of the chaos around him. We might pity his paranoia, but he'd likely scoff at our fragility, our breakdowns over a bad day or a harsh comment. His strength was a fire, burning through centuries of intrigue. As you drift into this world, feel its tension. Feudal Japan was a land of elegant courts and hidden daggers, of power and peril. His life was a flame against the storm, and in his survival, there's a lesson. Even in the shadow of betrayal, there's a will to rule that no plot can extinguish. As the echoes of feudal Japan's rigid world fade like a temple bell in the mist, you're whisked from mud-soaked fields to the salt-stung decks of a Persian warship. The samurai's blade gives way to a queen's cunning Artemisia, who defied empires with a mind sharper than any sword. Her story, woven with ancient stargazers and medieval minds haunted by demons, pulls you into a tapestry of survival and wit. In this shift, history's pulse quickens, yet its lessons linger, resilience forged in chaos, wisdom born of struggle. Where Japan bound you with rules, these tales lift you to seas and skies, where a woman's voice outshone kings and stars, charted human fate. As you drift deeper, let this transition carry you like a tide, from one world's chains to another's daring, each whispering of lives that endured against all odds. In the shimmering heat of the 5th century BCE, where the Mediterranean hums with the clash of empires, Artemisia of Halicarnassus emerges as a figure who shatters the mold of her time. A queen, a naval commander, a strategist whispering truth to a Persian king, she navigates a world that equates femininity with fragility, her every move a defiance of expectation. Her city, Halicarnassus, nestled on the rugged coast of modern-day Turkey, thrives under her rule, a speck of brilliance in the sprawling Persian Empire. When Xerxes, the great king, summons her to join his campaign against Greece, she doesn't flinch. With ships under her command and a mind sharper than any spear, she sails into the Greco-Persian wars, outwitting generals who underestimate her. As the night wraps around today's weary listener, Artemisia's story unfolds, a tale of cunning and courage, where a woman's voice cuts through the din of history's male chorus. Artemisia's ascent is no accident, but a marvel of will. Born around 500 BCE, she inherits the throne of Halicarnassus, a Greek city-state under Persian sway, after her husband's death. Most women of her era fade into the shadows of domesticity, but she seizes the helm, commanding both her city and its fleet. When Xerxes launches his invasion of Greece in 480 BCE, aiming to crush the defiant city-states, Artemisia joins his armada, not as a figurehead, but as a tactician. Herodotus, the Greek historian, marvels at her audacity, noting her as a rarity, a woman who dares to sit at the war council's table. Her ships, sleek and disciplined, carve through the Aegean, and her counsel to Xerxes is blunt, unadorned by flattery. In a world of posturing warriors, her honesty is a blade, slicing through pride with surgical precision. The Battle of Salamis, a pivotal clash in 480 BCE, showcases her brilliance. Xerxes, drunk on the might of his vast fleet, plans to crush the Greeks in the narrow straits near Athens. Artemisia, with a strategist's clarity, warns against it. The Greeks, she argues, know these waters like their own veins. Their smaller, nimbler ships will dance around Persia's lumbering armada. Herodotus records her words. She urges Xerxes to avoid the trap, to use his numbers elsewhere. But pride blinds the king, and the battle begins. As Persian ships flounder, colliding in the cramped straits, Artemisia navigates with ruthless cunning. When cornered, she rams a Persian ally's ship to escape, fooling the Greeks into thinking her a friend. Xerxes, watching from his throne, praises her daring, unaware of her calculated betrayal. Her survival is a masterclass in wit over might. Let's pause to savor the delicious irony. In an age where women are expected to weave tapestries, not strategies, Artemisia commands warships and kings. Her male counterparts, draped in medals and ego, falter where she thrives. Today, we might scroll through leadership debates, but Artemisia would scoff at our glass ceilings. She shattered hers with a bow and a blade. Herodotus, no feminist, can't hide his awe, describing her as a paradox, a woman who outshines men in a world that forbids it. Her actions at Salamis aren't just bold, they're a slap to convention, proving that courage doesn't care for gender. Yet her story isn't romantic, it's raw, a reminder that survival in a man's world demands a mind as sharp as steel and a heart that doesn't quiver. The point of shock lies in her defiance of fate. Imagine a council of grizzled generals, their beards bristling with disdain, as a woman strides to the center, her voice cutting through their murmurs. Herodotus notes that Xerxes listens, not out of chivalry, but because her logic is undeniable. After Salamis, when Persia's fleet lies in tatters, she advises retreat, urging Xerxes to leave Greece to his general Mardonius. Remarkably, he heeds her, a king swayed by a queen in a world where women's words are rarely heard. Her influence isn't just tactical, it's political, a chess move that preserves her city's standing. This isn't a fairy tale of triumph. It's a gritty saga of a woman who bends history's rules without breaking them, her legacy a whisper that echoes louder than any war cry. Her life unfolds like a tightly woven scroll. Artemisia governs Halicarnassus with a steady hand, balancing Greek heritage with Persian allegiance. Her fleet, though small, is disciplined, a reflection of her resolve. She navigates alliances with the finesse of a diplomat, her every decision a calculated risk. When not at war, she rules her city, her court a blend of Greek openness and Persian grandeur. Yet her power is precarious. Xerxes' favor could shift, and her rivals could strike. Her survival hinges on her wit, a mind that sees moves others miss. She's no rebel, no crusader for women's rights. She's a pragmatist, carving a space in a world that wasn't built for her. Her story, recorded by Herodotus, is a rare glimpse into a woman's power in an era that preferred to forget them. This wasn't just a personal victory, it reshaped history's lens. Artemisia's role in the Greco-Persian Wars, though a footnote in Persian records, looms large in Greek accounts. Herodotus, writing decades later, uses her to challenge his audience's assumptions, presenting a woman who defies the norms of both cultures. Her legacy isn't in statues or tombs, but in the questions she raises. What might history look like if more women wielded such power? Her life, spanning the reigns of Darius and Xerxes, shows a woman navigating empires with a clarity that humbles kings. Her story is a thread in the tapestry of ancient resilience, a reminder that survival often demands outsmarting the odds, not outfighting them. Now let's weave this into our world. We stress over boardroom battles or online trolls, but Artemisia faced real blades and real kings. We have mentors and networks. She had only her intellect, sharpened by necessity. Her life humbles us, a reminder that leadership isn't about titles, but about vision. Could we outwit an empire with nothing but our wits? The answer is a quiet shake of the head, a nod to her unyielding spirit. Her story resonates with anyone who's fought to be heard, proving that even in a world stacked against you, a sharp mind can carve its path. Artemisia's legacy is a marvel of defiance. She didn't just survive, she thrived, her strategies outlasting the battles she fought. We might call her an anomaly, but she'd likely laugh at our need for labels. Her life was her proof. Her story, etched in Herodotus's pages, burns through centuries of silence. As the night deepens, let her tale settle like a star in a quiet sky. Artemisia didn't just sail through history, she steered it, proving that even in the shadow of empires, one woman's voice can echo louder than 1,000 swords. In the fading light of the 5th century BCE, Artemisia of Halicarnassus leaves no grand mausoleum, no chiseled statue to mark her name, yet her shadow stretches across history's vast canvas. A queen who commanded ships and counseled kings, she defies the silence that buries most women of her era, her story a whisper that outlasts empires. Herodotus, the Greek chronicler, pens her tale with a mix of awe and unease, as if her very existence challenges the order of his world. She wasn't a rebel storming barricades, nor a myth spun for glory. She was a strategist, her mind a blade that carved her place in a world not built for her. As the night lulls today's restless listener, Artemisia's legacy unfolds, a testament to courage that needs no monument, a question that lingers. What might history have been if more women had her voice? Her story, rooted in the Greco-Persian Wars of 480 BCE, is no mere footnote. Artemisia ruled Halicarnassus, a Greek city under Persian sway, with a pragmatism that outshone the bravado of her male peers. At Salamis, her warning to Xerxes, avoid the narrow straits, went unheeded, yet her cunning saved her fleet when Persia's armada crumbled. She advised retreat, and Xerxes listened, a rare deference from a king to a woman. Herodotus marvels at this, noting her not as a token, but as a force, her counsel sharper than the swords of generals. Her legacy isn't in battles won, but in decisions made, hard, calculated, and often right. She didn't seek fame, she sought survival, and in doing so, etched her name into history's margins, a place where few women were allowed to linger. The irony is deliciously sharp. In an era where women were expected to fade into domestic shadows, Artemisia's voice rang out in war councils, her ships slicing through waves meant for men. Herodotus, writing for a Greek audience, can't quite reconcile her existence. She's neither Persian nor Greek, neither rebel nor conformist. She's a glitch in the system, a queen who navigates two empires with a diplomat's finesse and a warrior's nerve. Today, we might celebrate her as a trailblazer, but she'd likely scoff at the label. Her legacy wasn't built for applause. It was forged in the crucible of necessity, where one wrong move could have erased her city. Her story mocks our modern obsession with recognition, reminding us that true impact often lies in the quiet ripples, not the loud statues. The point of shock lies in her absence from the spotlight. No grand tomb, like the mausoleum of Halicarnassus, built by her successors, bears her name. Persian records barely mention her, and Greek accounts, while vivid, frame her as an oddity. Yet her influence endures through Herodotus's words, a rare nod to a woman's power in a world that preferred to forget them. Her legacy poses a question that stings. What other voices were silenced, their stories lost to time? Herodotus's account, written decades after Salamis, suggests a world that could have been, had more women been allowed to steer empires. What might they have achieved? Artemisia's life, spanning perhaps a few decades, is a spark that burns through centuries, challenging history's selective memory. Her legacy unfolds like a wave, retreating from the shore. She ruled Halicarnassus with a steady hand, balancing Greek culture with Persian loyalty, her city a beacon of resilience. After Salamis, she faded from the records, her fate unrecorded. Did she die in battle, or live to see her city thrive? The silence is telling, but so is her presence. She wasn't a feminist in the modern sense, nor as revolutionary. She was a ruler who played the game better than most. Her decisions, advising Xerxes and saving her fleet, were acts of survival, not rebellion. Yet they ripple through time, inspiring later figures like Artemisia II, who continued her name's legacy. Her story is a thread in history's tapestry, woven not with fanfare but with the quiet strength of a woman who refused to be erased. This wasn't just a personal triumph, it was a crack in history's armor. Artemisia's role, though brief, challenges the narrative of her time, where women were props, not players. Herodotus uses her to prod his audience, forcing them to confront a woman who outsmarted kings. Her legacy isn't in stone, but in the questions she leaves behind. What if more women had been given her chance? Her life, set against the backdrop of the Persian Empire's clash with Greece, shows a world where it could outweigh. Her story resonates with anyone who's fought to be heard, proving that impact doesn't need monuments. It needs memory, carried forward by those who dare to listen. Now let's weave this into our world. We chase likes and followers, craving validation in a digital age, but Artemisia needed no such applause. We have platforms to amplify our voices. She had only her mind, navigating a world that silenced women. Her resilience humbles us, a reminder that true strength lies in action, not acclaim. Could we face a king and speak the truth without trembling? The answer is a quiet nod to her courage. Her story, preserved in ancient texts, speaks to anyone who's battled invisibility, proving that even without statues, a life well lived can echo through time. Artemisia's legacy is a marvel of endurance. She didn't build monuments, she built moments, each decision a defiance of her era's limits. We might call her a mystery, but she'd likely laugh at our need for closure. Her story, carried by Herodotus, burns through the fog of history. As the night deepens, let her tale settle like a star's light, faint but unyielding. Artemisia didn't just live, she reshaped the edges of history, proving that even without stone, a woman's will can carve a mark that time cannot erase. In the velvet dark of ancient nights, long before telescopes pierced the heavens, civilizations turned their eyes skyward, weaving stories and science from the stars' silent dance. From Sumer's clay tablets to Egypt's sunlit temples, from Maya's jungle observatories to China's imperial omens, the cosmos was no mere spectacle. It was a map, a calendar, a divine script guiding human survival. These early astronomers, often priests or kings, didn't just gaze in wonder. They cracked the code of the universe, their minds forging tools to tame time itself. As the night lulls today's weary listener, their story unfolds, a tapestry of ingenuity and awe, where mortals dared to chart the gods' domain, their discoveries a quiet rebellion against the chaos of an unpredictable world. In Sumer, around 3000 BCE, scribes etched celestial patterns onto clay, crafting the world's first almanacs. Their sexagesimal system, base 60, divided hours in circles, a legacy still ticking in our clocks. They tracked Venus, noting its rise and fall, and predicted eclipses with the Saros cycle, an 18-year rhythm that baffled yet served them. No telescopes, no equations, just sharp eyes and sharper minds, turning chaos into order. Egypt, by 2500 BCE, aligned its pyramids with the stars, the Great Pyramid of Giza, a stone compass pointing to true north. Priests watched Sirius, its heliacal rising heralding the Nile's flood, a lifeline for crops. Their temples, like Karnak, were cosmic clocks, aligned to catch the solstice sun, blending faith with precision in a dance of stone and light. Across the ocean, the Maya, flourishing from 200 BCE, wove astronomy into their very existence. Their 365 20-day solar calendar, the Hab, rivaled modern accuracy, while the 260-day Tzolk'in tracked rituals. Observatories, like the stepped platforms of Chichen Itza, framed the stars, their priests calculating Venus's cycles with eerie precision. In China, by 1000 BCE, astronomers tied eclipses to imperial fate, their records of solar and lunar darkenings doubling as dynastic warnings. The Chinese lunar solar calendar, still used for holidays, balanced earthly seasons with celestial rhythms. India, meanwhile, saw the cosmos as a cycle of rebirth, its astronomers by 500 CE using shadow instruments to measure planetary arcs, their texts blending math with mysticism in a cosmic waltz. The Greeks, by 300 BCE, pushed astronomy into philosophy's realm. Ptolemy's epicycles, though flawed, modeled planetary motion with elegant logic, a system that held for centuries. His Almagest, a star catalog, was less a book than a bridge, linking observation to reason. These civilizations didn't just see stars, they saw patterns and tools for survival. Farmers planted by lunar cycles, sailors steered by constellations, and priests timed rituals to appease gods. Their work, often scratched on clay or stone, was a quiet triumph, a refusal to let the universe's vastness overwhelm human will. The irony is sharp. While we scroll for weather apps, they read the sky's raw code, their crude tools outlasting empires. The point of shock lies in their audacity. These ancients, armed with nothing but eyes and intellect, predicted eclipses, mapped stars, and timed harvests without a single computer. Sumerians, knowing nothing of gravity, nailed eclipse cycles. Maya priests, deep in jungles, calculated Venus's orbit within days. Imagine their patience, night after night, scribbling patterns under flickering lamps, their only reward for the slow unveiling of cosmic order. Their work wasn't just science, it was defiance, a claim that humans could understand the heavens. Their errors, like Ptolemy's Earth-centered universe, were bold stumbles, each a step toward truth. Their legacy asks, what might we achieve if we looked up with such relentless curiosity? This wasn't mere stargazing, it was survival. Sumer's calendars fed cities, Egypt's alignments ensured harvests, and Maya's cycles timed wars. China's omens guided emperors, and India's calculations shaped philosophy. Each culture turned the sky into a tool, their astronomers priests of both faith and reason. Their records, from cuneiform to codices, are fragile relics of minds that refuse to bow to mystery. We might chuckle at their myths, stars as gods, eclipses as omens, but their precision humbles us. They built systems that worked, not because they understood the cosmos fully, but because they dared to try. Their legacy is a thread in history's weave, a reminder that knowledge, not wealth, tames the unknown. Now, let's weave this into our world. We rely on apps to predict rain and GPS to navigate, but these ancients used stars to chart their lives. We stress over notifications. They face starvation if their calendars fail. Their ingenuity humbles us, a nod to a time when curiosity was a lifeline. Could we, with our screens, match their grit? Their story, etched in stone and sky, resonates with anyone who sought order in chaos. As the night deepens, let their tale settle like starlight on a quiet plain. They didn't just watch the heavens, they wrestled meaning from them, proving that even in the dark, human will can light the way. In the candlelit chambers of 1803 Paris, a young American republic, barely 3 decades old, strikes a deal that doubles its size overnight, a transaction as audacious as it is fraught. The Louisiana Purchase, orchestrated by a cash-strapped Napoleon Bonaparte, hands over a vast swath of North America, 828,000 square miles, for a mere $15 million sold, a bargain that redraws maps and destinies. Yet this isn't just a real estate coup, it's a Pandora's box, unleashing dreams of expansion while igniting moral and political fires that will scar a nation. Thomas Jefferson, the deal's architect, wrestles with a constitution that offers no blueprint for such ambition, while native nations and enslaved peoples pay the unseen price. As the night lulls today's restless listener, this story unfolds, a tale of opportunity stained with loss, where a single signature shifts the course of a continent. Napoleon, entangled in European wars and a failing Caribbean campaign, sees the Louisiana Territory as a burden, not a prize. His treasury, bled dry by conquest, craves cash, and America, a fledgling rival, becomes his buyer. The deal, finalized in April 1803, transferred lands stretching from the Mississippi River to the Rocky Mountains, a wilderness of rivers, plains, and peoples. For Jefferson, it was a vision of empire, a chance to plant American ideals in fertile soil. But the Constitution, his sacred text, is silent on buying foreign land. A strict constructionist, he agonizes over the legality, yet seizes the moment, bending his principles to grace a continent. The irony is sharp. A champion of limited government stretches its bounds, proving ambition can outrun ideology. It's a gamble that pays off in land, but sows seeds of discord that will haunt the nation. The purchase's scope is staggering, yet its human cost is darker. Native nations, Choctaw, Sioux, Osage, aren't consulted, their sovereignty erased by a pen in Paris. Their lands, home for centuries, become a canvas for American settlers who arrive with rifles and dreams, pushing tribes westward. Jefferson imagines assimilation or peaceful relocation, but history tells a grimmer tale. Treaties are signed, then broken. Skirmishes flare into wars. By the 1830s, the Trail of Tears will force thousands into exile, a legacy of the purchase's unchecked ambition. The deal also fuels slavery's spread. Southern planters eye the fertile plains for cotton, their plantations creeping westward, chaining millions to a system Jefferson decries yet tolerates. The Missouri Compromise of 1821, sparked by the purchase, drew a fragile line across the territory, balancing slave and free states, a line that would fracture the nation. Let's pause to savor the bitter humor. A nation born of rebellion against empire buys one in a single stroke, its leaders fretting over legality while ignoring morality. Jefferson, a man of lofty ideals, signs a deal that displaces thousands and entrenches slavery, all while claiming to champion liberty. Today, we'd call it a PR nightmare. Then it was progress. Napoleon, meanwhile, unloads a continent like a merchant clearing inventory, chuckling at the Americans' eagerness. The purchase is a masterclass in opportunism, but its price, paid in native tears and enslaved lives, makes its triumph a hollow one. It's a deal that shapes a nation, yet exposes its contradictions, a mirror held up to ideals that bend under pressure. The point of shock lies in the purchase's silent victims. Native nations, sovereign for millennia, learn of their fate not through negotiation, but through settlers' boots on their soil. Historical records estimate over 50 tribes lived in the territory, their cultures vibrant and their rights ignored. The Lewis and Clark expedition, launched in 1804 to map the new lands, charts rivers and resources but sidesteps native claims. Their journals, filled with awe at the West's vastness, barely note the human cost. For enslaved people, the purchase opens new lands for chains, not freedom. By 1820, Missouri's statehood debate ignites a national crisis, the first crack in a union that would shatter decades later. The purchase isn't just a deal, it's a domino, toppling lives and ideals in its wake. The expedition of Lewis and Clark, sent by Jefferson to find a Northwest Passage, reveals the purchase's promise and peril. From 1804 to 1806, they trek across plains, rivers, and mountains, meeting tribes like the Mandan and Shoshone, whose aid ensures their survival. No passage exists, but their maps spark a vision of American destiny, a call to settle the West. Yet this vision erases native presence, turning their homelands into a blank slate for expansion. Cities like St. Louis and New Orleans bloom as trade hubs, their growth fueled by the Mississippi River, now America's artery. The purchase's legacy is dual. It builds a nation's wealth, but buries its moral debts, a contradiction that echoes through centuries. Now let's weave this into our world. We stress over contracts and deadlines, but the Louisiana Purchase was a deal with stakes we can't fathom: lands, lives, and a nation's soul. We have laws to protect rights. They had ambition that trampled them. Jefferson's gamble humbles us, a reminder that progress often comes at a cost. Could we make such a choice, knowing its price? The answer is a quiet reflection on our compromises. The purchase's story resonates with anyone who's weighed opportunity against ethics, proving that history's greatest triumphs are often its deepest tragedies. This deal's legacy is a marvel of contradiction. It forged a nation's future, cities, trade, power, yet sowed division and displacement. Jefferson's vision of a free republic clashed with the reality of stolen lands and shackled lives. We might call it a triumph, but its victims would call it theft. As the night deepens, let this tale settle like dust on a forgotten treaty. The Louisiana Purchase didn't just expand a nation, it exposed its heart, proving that even in the grandest bargains, there's a cost no gold can cover. As the night hums softly, we've wandered through feudal Japan's rigid chains, sailed with Artemisia's defiant heart, traced ancient stars, and mourned the Louisiana Purchase's hidden costs. Each tale, a whisper of resilience, carries the weight of lives that shaped our past. Let their struggles, samurai's honor, peasant's toil, a queen's cunning, fade into your dreams, easing the day's burdens. Relax your shoulders, let your breath slow, and sink into the quiet of history's embrace. If your eyes still linger in the dark, share your thoughts below. What echoes linger in your mind? As the stars keep watch, Another story waits for tomorrow's night, ready to cradle you into sleep. For now, let the past dissolve like mist, your heart light, your mind still. Sleep well, dear wanderer, and let history's gentle tide carry you to rest.